The Beast and the Bethany by Jack Meggitt-Phillips. Chapter 10. The Apology. The Beast was right. Bethany was in no mood for mischief. After she'd changed clothes and cleaned the soot from her face, she sat downstairs and stared sadly into thin air. She didn't even have enough energy to watch television. When Ebenezer saw this, he experienced a strange and unfamiliar feeling. At first he thought he was having stomach issues, so he filled up several hot water bottles and strapped them to his waist, and then, when this didn't work, he presumed that it must be a headache. He fetched an ice pack from one of the freezers and bandaged it to his head. It wasn't until the ice pack had melted and the hot water bottles had cooled that he realized that something else was wrong. No matter what he did, he couldn't get rid of this unpleasant gnawing at the pit of his stomach, and he couldn't shake his feelings of discomfort. It took Ebenezer a few more minutes before he realized that he was feeling guilty about what had happened. He knew that he should be happy, and he knew that he probably ought to thank the Beast for helping him to control Bethany. However, for some reason it didn't feel right. There was even a part of him which wished that Bethany would start pulling pranks again. Bethany deserved some sort of an apology. The Beast wasn't going to give her one, so Ebenezer decided that he would have to do it himself. He went upstairs and changed into a blue shirt and a pair of gentle beige trousers, because he felt that this was exactly the sort of outfit which one should wear to say sorry. When he came back downstairs, he found Bethany waiting for him by the front door. She was wearing her coat and carrying the box of things she had brought with her from the orphanage. "Ah, Bethany, so glad you're up and about. I need to say something to you," said Ebenezer. "I want to say I'm sorry," said Bethany. This was a bit of a shock for Ebenezer. He felt that he might have to change into a different outfit in order to deal with this conversation. "I beg your pardon? Did you say that you wanted to apologize?" "Yes, but not to you. Can you drive me to the orphanage?" Ebenezer was too surprised to make a fuss. He didn't think to ask any questions until they were both in the car. "Why have you brought your box?" he asked, putting on his seatbelt. "Because it's part of my apology," she answered, not putting on hers. "Be quiet, I need to practice. I've never done one before." Ebenezer drove whilst Bethany practiced quietly to herself. After a short drive, they arrived at the orphanage. Miss Fizzlewick was coming to the end of her daily ladylike smiles lesson. She had lined up all the girls in the playground and was forcing them to stretch fake smiles across their faces. "Come on, Amy, you can do better. No one's going to love you with a face like that," said Miss Fizzlewick. "But my face is hurting," said Amy as she clung tighter to Miss Lillypie the teddy bear. "That's no excuse. Pain is a necessary part of becoming a lady. I want you all to go back to your rooms, stare in the mirror and continue practicing. You're not allowed to stop until your gums bleed," said Miss Fizzlewick. She ushered the children into the main building, and as the last one went in, she turned around to find Ebenezer and Bethany walking up the drive. She trotted out her best fake smile for Ebenezer. The sight was far from pleasant. She tutted at Bethany. "I wish I could say I was surprised to find you here again. What did you do this time, Bethany?" sighed Miss Fizzlewick. "She didn't do anything," said Ebenezer. Of course this wasn't true, but Ebenezer felt that there was no need to bring up Bethany's naughtiness. She had already been punished quite enough by the Beast. "Nothing?" asked Miss Fizzlewick. "No china dolls in the washing machines?" "None at all," he answered. "And no bottoms glued to loo seats?" "I'm happy to say that my bottom has been entirely glue-free. Bethany has been very well behaved," said Ebenezer. Bethany frowned at Ebenezer, confused about why he was lying. Miss Fizzlewick was also looking confusedly at him. "We're here because Bethany wants to say sorry," explained Ebenezer. Miss Fizzlewick looked like she might faint. She went a bit cross-eyed and her knees wobbled. "Is this some sort of trick?" she snapped, once she regained her balance. "Nah, that would be a rubbish trick," said Bethany. "This is simply wonderful news," said Miss Fizzlewick. "But of course I'm not surprised. Didn't I always tell you that those lessons on how to be a lady would pay off one day? Now, let me know when you're ready to begin, and remember, ladylike apologies always begin with a little curtsy." Bethany didn't begin with a little curtsy. She scowled instead. "I'm not here to apologize to you," said Bethany. "I'm here to see Geoffrey." Bethany almost knocked Miss Fizzlewick over with her box as she barged into the building. Ebenezer helped Miss Fizzlewick get back on her feet. "Extraordinary," said Miss Fizzlewick. "Thank you," said Ebenezer, thinking that she was complimenting his blue shirt and gentle beige trousers. "I put the outfit together myself." "Sorry, I wasn't talking about that, although you do look most gentlemanly. I mean, it's extraordinary about Bethany. Unbelievable, in fact. She must be playing some sort of prank." "Well, I'm not sure about that." "I am. I've tried for years to get her to behave like a lady. She's one of those children who are incapable of change, and I can tell it's been a stressful time for you. Look at those wrinkles around your eyes." "Can we please not talk about those?" said Ebenezer. The conversation came to a halt. Ebenezer thought Miss Fizzlewick might return to the building and crack on with her work, but she showed no sign of leaving. "Do you think Bethany will be long?" he asked, shifting from one foot to the other awkwardly, like someone in dire need of a wee. He could feel his body getting older with every minute that passed. "Oh, yes, I would think so. She's played a lot of very mean pranks on Geoffrey since he's been here. If she's serious about this apology, I wouldn't be surprised if it takes several hours for her to—" Miss Fizzlewick was interrupted by Bethany's return. Bethany stormed out of the building and towards the car. She was no longer carrying her box. "Done," she shouted. "Let's go." Ebenezer bid goodbye to Miss Fizzlewick and ran after Bethany, and as the potion wore off, he found it surprisingly hard to keep up with her. "How was that?" asked Ebenezer when they were back in the car. "Ugh, not as much fun as I thought it would be," she answered. "Why did you think it would be fun?" "Because everyone told me it would be. Everyone's always telling me to say sorry. They all say I'd feel so much happier if I was good." "And you don't feel any happier?" "Not a bit. If anything, I feel worse. Now, I don't have any comics to read or any catapults to fire." "I can understand why you gave him his comics back, but why did you give him your catapult?" he asked. "I told him to use it against anyone who tried to steal his comics. I tried to show him how it works, but he wasn't very good, stupid rat." Bethany wound down her window. Then she wound it back up again, and then down again, and then up again. Ebenezer found it extremely irritating. "Could you stop that, please?" he asked. "Yeah, I could," answered Bethany, but she didn't. She wound it up and down and up and down and up and down, and, well, then she got bored and stopped. "How did you meet the beast?" she asked. "In a field at the back of my house many, many years ago, when I was about your age, actually," Ebenezer replied. "It got stuck on the bottom of my shoe." "Blimey, how big was your shoe?" "The beast was smaller back then. I thought it was an animal at first, but then it began to speak. It asked if it could come into the house." "What did the adults say?" Miss Fizzlewick always used to stop me from bringing caterpillars and spiders into the house. It was so annoying. "The adults, my parents, said no, but I snuck it in anyway. I hid it up in our attic on the top floor, and I brought it some food. Nothing too big at first. I took it up some leftovers from my own dinner when I got the chance. It always loved eating meat." It had been a while since Ebenezer had thought about his younger years. The beast used to be quite a cute little thing, cute in an ugly, greedy, and evil sort of way. "The more it ate, the bigger it got," said Ebenezer, now smiling at his own memories. "And as it got bigger, it became stronger. When the beast was about the size of a football, its powers fully returned. The beast would vomit out little presents for me, just small things, like croquet sets and miniature drums, and in return it wanted more interesting meals to eat." "That's surprising," said Bethany. "Yes, the beast wasn't always that bad, Ebenezer nodded. "It just became greedy over the years. And about that, I wanted to say, look, well, I'm sorry about what it did with your parents and the smoke and everything. I had no idea that it was—" "That's not what's surprising," said Bethany. "I mean, it's surprising that you brought the beast into the house, even though your parents said no. You seem like such a goody two-shoes." Ebenezer nearly crashed the car. "I am not a goody two-shoes," he shouted. "Yeah, you are. I know that you had nothing to do with the smoke because you're too well behaved. You might as well have a pair of shoes which says Mr. Goody on them." "I am not a goody two-shoes. I am a Mr. Naughty Shoes." Bethany stopped. She looked at Ebenezer. There was a quiver in her voice as she asked, "Are you saying that you did have something to do with the smoke then?" "No, no, gosh no, I'm not that sort of naughty shoes," he said. "Like I said, I'm terribly sorry about—" "I really, really don't want to talk about it," snapped Bethany. They didn't speak again until they were pulling up to the house. Ebenezer's curiosity got the better of him. "Final question, I promise," he said. "Why did you apologize to Geoffrey?" Bethany chewed her bottom lip. "It's because I don't want to be like the beast," she said quietly. Ebenezer parked the car outside the house. Bethany jumped out and ran to the front door. She came back to the car when she noticed that Ebenezer wasn't moving. "What are you doing?" she asked. Driving to the comic book shop, he said. You deserve a present for being good. Can I get a pet instead? She asked. Absolutely not, he answered. Now jump in before I change my mind.